Good morning again and welcome to Forge Right. Just wanted to put up a short video on the construction of the door that I have been planning and said that I was going to make for my new extension out the front, steel frame door with some polycarbonate inserts to let the light through. So I just thought I'd show a bit of the method that I'm using to connect the square tubing. Various ways you can try and cut mitered corners and things, but I'm using what I like to call a tab connection method, which allows you to get a pretty good square corner, and it cleans up really well. Don't have to worry about putting in exact 45 degrees cuts and things like that. Much easier to get your measurements correct. So I'll just show a bit of footage of how I go about that, and maybe a couple of clips along the way as I start planning and putting it together. Okay, well, this is my frame that I've started putting together. As you can see, I've got my first welded corner here. Now these go together, as I was describing earlier, in what I like to call a tab system. So if I just roll that out, you end up with a straight square corner that you can see there, and this piece is cut out just square, but leaving a tab the same length as the width of that. And then when you bring it in together, it joins up like so, and it allows you to have enough here, bit of grinding there on that corner to get that one just right. Bit of a dag hanging off there, but I'll grind that before I weld it. So that allows you to get a good weld all the way up here, all the way down here, right around the tab, and up the inside as well when you get to that. So that one's moved out because I've been playing with it there, and it actually gives you a really easy weld job. Nice straight welds. Don't have to worry about cutting the mitered corners, possibly getting them wrong and then having to fill large gaps. I just noticed there, one thing you do have to watch out for is you cut right out into the corner there, because you can end up with, as in this situation here, if you push it in, it wants to rock backwards and forwards. So you've got to make sure you get that corner really cut out, or alternatively make sure you cut that, should say grind that corner down so it nestles into that cut out corner there. So that's the plan. These are a couple of pieces that I've pre-cut for positioning across there and there. So that's what the door will look like. Obviously they're just dropped in, they're not in the right place. Nice and evenly spaced will be good. A bit like that. And then I'm going to make at the right height here a square frame that comes out here with plate across the front and back, which will accept the handle and mortise lock system. And then I'll cut a hole through here and here to run the mortise through and connect the handle on. Trying to keep it nice and square, I'm using the 3-point system. Yes, it's a pretty good flat floor, but no floor is perfectly flat, so this piece here is attached to that piece over there and welded up. So you do that one first, pull that out of the way, then you've got 1, 2, 3-point corner over there, so I'll go over there next, grind that up, prep it, weld that one up, obviously using a square to make sure that the corner is nice and square. and then that gives you two right angle pieces. You can then bring those together, and if there's any fine adjustments to do, you can run a string line from the top of there to the top of there, and the top of there to the top of there, and the two strings in the where it crosses over in the middle should be just touching each other with a bit of bounce off each other. And that's about all I've got to show you for now, but I'll give you a bit of an update as I go and when I start building this box mechanism in here. And of course I'm going to weld 3 hinges down the side, good solid 100mm or 4-inch hinges, one up about 200mm, one in the center, and then one down 200mm. That'll give me good solid connection. Then I'm going to weld in some inserts of very small angle iron into the squares. That one obviously will have a cutout. Weld in some inserts, drop the polycarbonate in, and then put a spacer in and screw that up to the inside of the frame so that they will be picture frame style inserts of polycarbonate. Okay, that's me done for now. Just whack that over there, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hi guys, just an update on how I'm going with my extension door. The frame is coming together pretty well. I think the last time I made a video, it was in the planning process. I'd laid out my steel and was just going through what I was going to do. I've now welded up the main part of my frame and drilled a few holes for the mortise, and I've cut out some plate using my plasma cutter, which I'm sorry I didn't get the video footage of. It was just a test to start with and worked really well, so I'll try and get some footage of myself doing the next bit of cutting. And I just thought I'd update you on where I'm at with that and the process I've undertaken. Okay, I've got it laid out on the bench here so that I can work on it nice and easy at a good height. Get that out of the way. First of all, here we have my basic frame put together, welded on the corners and on the junctions. A bit of spatter still on that corner there, you may be able to see, which I'll get off before I go painting. I believe you can see these corners. There's a bit of sunlight glare over here, but I think you can see what's going on. So those corners turned out quite well with the tab system that I use, where I don't try and cut a mitered corner. I haven't tried to weld up these corners. No need, it's strong. It's welded everywhere except on those inside corners. That one is. That one isn't. I decided it wasn't worth welding those corners, as the strength wise it's not necessary. This mark you can see here is where I've scribed in a line for this plate. So that plate will be sat there, welded all the way around. This is where I'm going to cut my hole through with the plasma cutter. And here we have where I've made my recess for the mortise. So mortise comes in there and is screwed into there. What I've had to do was cut a rectangle out of there and then made a piece that slips inside, extends through to roughly here somewhere, I drilled 4 holes in this outside piece and welded through the holes to secure this in place. So that's good and solid. Cut the hole, drilled the holes before I put it in. Made life easier. Of course, there's a hole in the back of there as well for the mortise to to go through. Sorry about the shaky camera work. So that goes through there and is set in there, and then this drops on there, and now I'm about to cut the hole through there. Now, in order to get a 54mm circle, I don't have a hole cutter that is 54mm, and I thought I would try and experiment with the plasma cutter, because it does make, I cut these out with the plasma cutter, cleaned up the edges a bit, but it cuts this material extremely well and quite quickly. And I cut out these holes, these holes with the plasma cutter. That was me trying to do it freehand and then getting the file in there and trying to clean it out, and then I thought, no, well, it's not going to be needed anyway. It's going to be, you're not even going to see that, so it's not really relevant that it's neat and tidy. So in order to get the hole, I've got the plasma cutter end here. What I've done is I've measured effectively the distance from the center of the hole to the outside of the ceramic casing, and so I want to trace around that line. So I thought the best way that I could do that would be to have a ring from the center of the, okay, I'm jumping around here, sorry about that, from the center of this hole, the cutting hole, out to that point there, where you can see that dark ring, is 10mm. So if I have a ring that is 20mm bigger than this hole, which is struggling to do this without putting the camera down, what I've done is I've got one of these bike clips, bike straps, stainless steel, and I've bent the little tab out there so it's nice and easy to hold. Yep. Nice and easy to hold like that. And I figure if I position that in the middle, sorry about the camera work here, and then I get this in here, I can run around the inside of there and get a pretty good hole. Now, I don't know if that was in shot, but hope so. I had it tucked under my chin. So that's where I'm at with that, and I shall set the camera up and see if I can get some footage of me trying to cut that out, and hopefully I'll get a decent cut. And of course I've got this one here which I'll do on the other side. So once I get them cut, back in position, I can weld them in, and that will be where my door handle goes through. So, okay, I'll just, sorry about the lighting, I'll just put the camera back on the tripod and see if we can get some footage. Okay, I think I'm set up and ready to go. The plan here is that I have this just in the positions where I should be able to brace it roughly against the edges of the clamp. Like, I'll get it into position like so. That's pretty well in the middle. Then I'll start my cut, come out to the edge. The finger's in the way there, so that's not going to work real well. So I'll do it like, try it like that. Out to the edge, come around. I realise that there's a little bit of a lump sticking out there, and that'll mean I'll just have to get a file in and file that bit out, but I think that's a pretty good arc there. So I shall give her a go. Contact. Okay, for some reason I came in way too close there. I thought I had that pretty well set up. She was in a position to cut nicely along there, and I think I might have just rushed that a little bit. I'm just going to see if I can tidy that up a little bit. I've got my edge all the way through there. What about if I rotated it to there, like so, and just try to take that out of there? I reckon that's a plan. Let's have a go at that. I think that cleaned that up pretty well. I'm after a 54mm hole, so I don't know how I went. Oh, look at that, 54.5mm across there. 54.5mm across there. Yeah, it's probably a bit egg-shaped through there. That bit there's, oh no, it's just 54.5. Bit of a run round. Just kill this for now. Bit of a run round with the file, and I think we might be looking pretty good. Sorry about that. There we go. Slightly egg-shaped, but it's to hold this unit here, which I'll just come and grab. So that goes in there, like so. So all it requires is that these clear the edges, gives it enough to clamp up against, like so. And that's the way that's going to work. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to cut another one the same. I decided I would record the second one, just in case it's a balls up. I think I've got it in a pretty good position. I can brace it against there, I can hold it there so it's not squashing the ring. That's the only trouble with using this clamp method, is that if you push too hard it'll push it out of shape. So if I have it there, which is pretty secure, I've got this finger holding it up against the clamp, I've got this thumb bracing it there, I should be able to get a pretty good trip around there, like so, and I'll clean up that little bit afterwards. Hopefully I'll get a better result first up this time, because the first time I don't think I stuck to my line very well. I'll give it another go. Not exactly sure why that hasn't dropped out. I don't think I've caught it all the way there. Yeah, it's just that little point there. So got him. Just got a little tray underneath to catch the dross as it comes through. As I can see here, that's not perfectly round. Not sure why. I think I'm leaning, I think as I'm coming around I might be leaning back that way. I'm not sure. I might put it into position and see if I can fix up that little corner. So that there, that there. That should take out that little bit there, I reckon. Good timing, compressor. Not as I was about to speak. It's alright, won't pass long. Thank you. I think that's worked pretty well. I shall kill that. Get me tray out of the way. Give it a bit of a clean on top. Got a real cluttered mess up here at the moment, but that's alright. Here we go. Hole number 2. Now, do they fit each other? No, they don't. One's just a little bit out of line with the other. So, that must be, that one's not very warm, that one's cold. So that was the first one I did. That's the second one. As long as they're lined up with each other, so they both go on and that door handle both goes through, and the door handles both go through, I can't see too much issue with that. Pretty well the same size, although that second one does look to be just a little bit smaller. Although if I slide it over there, then I can't see any gap, and I can't see any gap. Yeah, they're just out of line with each other, just a little tad. It's just that down there is not lined up, and the same amount off there. So I'm tempted to line them up with each other and cut those bits off, so then I know they are perfectly aligned to each other from edges. because the holes actually fit very well. They match up quite well with each other. Mind you, I could lose a little bit out of there. Put it in the vise and do some on the grinder, I think. It's too small to be doing with anything but the grinder. So I'll just put a little mark around there. So I know to open that up a little bit, which I'll do now. Okay, got him clamped in position. Hole nicely cleaned up. Time to put a bit of a tack on him. It's probably not going to come out real well on the video, I understand that, but just so you can see the process I'm going through. Got the corners clamped down nice and tight because there's just a little rise in it here and I don't want any gaps. Beautiful. Immediate stick. Couple more. Bit of a lack of earth there. Just clean up the end. Got a bit of crud hanging off the end of the electrode. That'll do it every time. Love these Irwin quick grip clamps. It's not paid advertising, they're just wonderful. Don't get the cheaper ones. They are, well, cheap. These put on about, I think it's about 250 kilo pressure. You can, I think that's in shot. You can clamp it up and squeeze up really hard. You could swing off that and then just quick release. Wonderful clamps. Okay, well, that's got him tacked. I'll stop the video there because you probably can't see anything anyway when I'm welding. Okay, just stopped for a cuppa and just thought I'd point out how I'm doing this. Because it's such thin metal, you don't want to give it a big long run of weld because it just gets way too hot and starts liquefying it and you're likely to burn through it. So I'm using what they call a stitch method. So you go through and you put, you know, your basic tack welds down, then you put a weld in between. So you might have that one there, that one there, that one there, and you come through and you put that one there and that one there, then you come put through that one there and that one there. So you're doing this all the way around. And then you just keep filling in the gaps. So you'll put one there, you'll put one there, you'll put one there, one there, then come back and put one here, so on and so forth, until you get it like this. And then last step is to come through and fill up these little gaps in here. That will end up getting rid of this sawtooth look, which fills it all up. Get in here with a grinder and bring it all down, and it will look nice and flush in the end. So I just thought I'd point that out. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty well stitched. at this point in time. Won't know if it's fully cleaned until I've put the grinder over it. But there's plenty there to be able to take a nice clean edge off. So as you can see, there's a fair few globs filling up the sawtooth, and I shall have a bit of a grind, see what it looks like at the end. Okay, that's how she's looking after I've put the grinder over it, cleaned it up a bit. Bit of spatter there I'll have to get. Excuse the noise, just get that while I'm seeing it. I should say feeling it. There we go. So all going to be painted, of course. And then this mechanism, hang on, that slides in there. And that slides in there. So that's what she's going to look like. It's locked. I've got to get the key or put the other handle on the other side to unlock it. But yeah, the handle will turn. So it's all going to be painted up, of course. But yeah, that's how she's looking. Now I've got to do the other side. Okay, let's try that again. Here we have the handle connected on so that's not too bad. Looks pretty good, I think. Obviously, as I've said before, minus the paint job, whole thing's going to be painted. So the next step is to get some of this angle iron, which I purchased, which is 20mm by 20mm angle. I'm going to get the plasma cutter and I'm going to run it down this side and cut one of these sides to 10mm, so it'll be 10mm by 20, and then I shall set it. It's going to be hard to show because I'm going to set it into there, so that's the bit that I'm going to be cutting off, which will give me enough room. Once I've cut that piece off there, it'll sit just short of halfway. Then I'll be able to put my polycarbonate down in here. I'll do the same thing to another piece, which will be set in there and then screwed in. Very hard to demonstrate what I'm talking about there until I've got a piece that actually sits inside and I can show it better. So yeah, up in there like that, trimmed off so that it's the right width, and polycarbonate between two sets of them. One, the outside one welded in, the inside one screwed in so it can be replaced if it gets damaged. Okay, that's my next job, is to cut down some angle iron. I'll do that next. Okay, I'll be back later.